Wow.
Mm. Hey guys, we're bringing Coffee Club back for another episode this week, and for the second episode we're going to be chatting a bit about our journaling practice.
So Matt is more someone who likes to write from a blank paper, and I'm someone who just can't do that. If I'm faced with a blank paper, I just don't know what to say, so I'm more someone who needs a guided journaling. So we've got two different ways of doing our journaling practices that we thought would be shareable, because some people might be like Matt and some people might be more like me, so we thought we'd have a little ramble.
So I guess first up, the thing to talk about is why exactly we journal in the first place. I think for me, I started over a year ago now, and I use it as a way to just clear my mind, really, just reset, become a bit more present, and just kind of put it down on paper, where sometimes I find it difficult to actually vocalize and speak out loud sometimes.
Yeah, you can't really voice what you want to say or what you feel. What's me is the opposite. Again, French stereotype, but I'm kind of like no filter, so I say too much. So for me, I use it more as a moderator. I'm trying to use the journal as a way to calm down and actually write before I say things, I guess. I saw you starting journaling and I was like, oh, that's really nice. It's part of the mindfulness routine. You know, I stretch, I eat mindfully, and I was like, I'm missing one bit, which I think was the journaling. And I tried to do what you do, just, you know, sat there with like my pen and my blank paper, and I just had the blank paper syndrome where I just had nothing to say at all. So he got me this journal, which is called Pose by Axel and Ash. Basically, there's a weekly like journaling thing where they're gonna like give you a few ideas on what to think about. So it's a different way of talking about your feeling. Like I'd say it takes me 30 minutes every week. That's enough. I feel grateful. I think I use the journal thing as well to like know myself better, but you need to explore it more like a bit further.
Yeah, which I guess brings on to like the two sides of journaling. You can either use it as you can brain dump about what's happened and to reflect on the past, or you can use it as a way to plan and get excited for the future. A lot of the time I used to just write about what's happened, but now I've actually started to use it as a way to energize and really plan going forward.
I mean, these are always kind of like back from the past. Like, it enables you not to, if you had like a really difficult month, it's not going to make you think, this month I felt really tired. It'd be literally just the last few days. So I think it's easier to remember and it's easier to be a bit more in the present. Because it's guided, if you're having a really bad day, if you're giving me a blank paper, I'd probably just put all the, you know, negative words of like, I'm feeling tired, I had a really week. Where like with this, because you don't have the choice of the questions, even if you're having a bad week, the few prompts going to tell you, oh, this week I discovered this new, I felt like really good when, so it forces you to, even though if you had a really bad week, it forces you to think about actually the few good things that happened.
One thing that I tried doing was journaling every day, but I've got to say for me it's not really working. I now pick up my journal as and when I feel like I need to. I use it more intuitively now.
So for my guided one, I tried different things. I started doing it on every Sunday evening, I think, which were a bit biased because I was, you know, it was after the weekend, so you could only kind of remember about the good things of the weekend, and I felt like I was going to bed almost too excited. Yeah. So like now I'm doing it more like the Monday morning, so just before starting the work week, I think I just, you know, we just woke up, I had breakfast, it's the start of a new week. So instead of thinking, I don't know, it's kind of, that's the way I energize, I do it like first thing in the morning.
So in 3 words, what benefits does journaling bring you?
So I think it helps me calm down. Like, it helps me potentially to think a bit more before like everything comes out with my mouth. I think it helps me being grateful, so starting the week right, so, and de-dramatizing.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we know at the moment we're locked down and everything, like all the travel plans coming down, the work from home, the can't go out thingy. I think it's just a lot, and it helps me to put things in perspective and be like, actually, I'm feeling okay, I'm good. There's a few things going wrong, but it's okay. What are the 3 benefits from journaling?
I'd say the 3 main things for me that journaling really brings me is the perspective to kind of accept what's happened and to really put in context what is going to happen, and just to be a bit more realistic about what's about to happen in the future in terms of planning. So,
but that's only because you've started to do journaling more future orientated rather than constantly moaning about past things. True. That was one of the big switch that you were saying.
A big switch. But that's definitely a benefit that I've got from the switch. I'd say another one is energizing. Again, I think due to the switch of going more future orientated, I do really feel energized after I've done it. I don't feel like I'm bogged down by whatever sort of emotions or like circumstance that I'm in during the time. Final one, satisfied. I think purely from a like
perfectionist.
Just the fact of like seeing that you've written a page of very nice words, regardless of what they say, is a small win. So yeah, they would be my three. Would be satisfied, perspective, and being energized.
I think my three, we've got one in common, which is the putting things in perspective, to de-dramatize, and then calming down and gratefulness for me. I think what we should probably mention though is, I mean, it sounds like we're expert about journaling, but
absolutely not.
We don't, even though we try to do it quite frequently when we need to. I wouldn't say that I haven't done it every week. There are some weeks where I'm just like, I don't have the patience, or I've got other things to do. So it's still an ongoing learning process, I think.
And I think sometimes journaling is the last thing you want to be doing sometimes. It's if you've kind of really got yourself into a hole during the day, you kind of just want to work yourself out of it rather than, it doesn't make sense to spend 30 minutes being a bit present and journaling when I'm guilty of it. I just say, I've literally just got to get this finished.
I mean, for me, it's one of the various activities that you can do when you feel down. So there's some days where to feel better and feel grateful, I prefer to do a session of yoga, I prefer to go for a run, I prefer to go with a friend, I prefer to listen to a podcast. Sometimes rather than writing my own emotion, I prefer to completely switch off and listen to someone else's voices. On a podcast, you actually feel better. So
sometimes I just go upstairs and breathe and do 10 minutes of breath work. It's choosing a practice that works for you in the moment, and really making the most of journaling rather than just using it as a failsafe and just relying on it when it might not actually be what you really need.
If you're in a relationship, I think not to fall in the trap of journaling as well as the safe place to mind dump, because like it's also important for us to have a conversation and talk about things. So if you start using the journal as like your shell and your private diary to tell about your emotions, there's a limit as well.
So there's only a certain level of comfort that a piece of paper can give you, where sometimes actually being a bit vulnerable to another human being might actually be a bit more beneficial. So in a nutshell, that's how we use journaling. We've both hopefully given a different perspective of how we use different methods of journaling and the different benefits that it brings us. Be a bit more intuitive with it. Don't force yourself to do it if you don't really want to, because at the end of the day, writing is an effort. You don't want to rush it. Otherwise, it's not going to be a very useful practice if you just kind of sit there and write. Another thing I say is don't substitute a journal for human conversation. A journal is great and it's been really helpful for me over the last year, but there are just certain things that you just need another person to help you with sometimes and to talk to, to make it more of a two-way conversation rather than a one-way mind dump.
If you feel frustrated like me, if writing is not really something that is easy, it's just to be creative around it. So write words, bullet notes of like words, like feelings, emotions, circle them, link them, break them, just like play around it, and it's still like a way of journaling. You just have to find your own way, I guess. So you gave us actually an idea, because we decided that what's actually missing is the happy medium between these two. So we actually created what we call the TMM journal, which is a hybrid version of journaling. So it's a mixture of prompted journaling and a mixture of freedom, intuitive writing, journaling. We've released 2 so far, which you can find on our website, and we're about to release the March edition of the TMM journal very soon. So please check that out if we have hopefully inspired you to develop a journaling practice, and we will see you in the next coffee club. And have fun with it. So I think... Woohoo!